Hello, everyone. I've got a few poems for you on current events, which I think you might enjoy. Here we go. Dream state. I fell asleep, and when I awoke, I had someone else's heart, and that was just the start. I had become a snark, a predator in the park. I wanted to remain a decent person, but could I still play the part? I fell asleep. And when I awoke, I'd become a whole new sex. My former sex had become my ex. As a female, how would my life be? Could I still be me? What would happen next? Excuse me while I apply my purple eyeshadow. I fell asleep, and when I awoke, I was a Pulitzer Prize winning poet, if the world would just allow it. Did I take my bit of talent and somehow grow it? I fell asleep, and when I awoke, I found the world had become a joke. Everything seemed strange, nothing whatever seemed right, but the sun was bright. And then I awoke. This next one is kind of an ekphrastic poem. I'll email the picture if any of you want to see it. Two barristers sunning themselves, one pair of shades, two mustaches, and two briefs. Oh, Boris, your time in number 10 was all too brief. Boris, will he stay or will he go? Boris, don't keep us suspended. Now, I don't know how things work in the United Kingdom any longer. It's a long time since I left the UK. Is it possible that the Queen could become Prime Minister? I don't know. Something to look into. This is a poem by Matt Honer, Baltimore poet, very fine poet, and I think you'll see that his poem about the Uvalde school shooting really hits the mark. The silence of Emma Gonzalez teaches us about language. For Sam Hamill. In America, a young man learns that to kill is language enough. From the muzzle, which means to hush, to gag, the phonemes of his rage interject themselves into 17 stories, ending in the smothered dreams of 34 parents. To mourn a child is to beg a hole in the earth for answers. What are we willing to endure? What act will be the unspeakable next? The absence of voices fills with the sound of blood congealing on a classroom floor. Outlines where a life used to be saturate with empty talk. A politician sweeps the room with the shrapnel of scripted gibberish. Such vapid discussion. How do we amend our narrative before we can't bring ourselves back from the dead? A young woman reads the names of her classmates, then stops, stands, says nothing. Heartbeats mark the time in the millions gathered to hear her. Cold wind cuts across the tidal basin, sighs through naked cherry boughs, the national breath. Bodies accumulate in the voids between words. We learn nothing when our silence lays our children in the ground. What then when a child lays our silence at our feet? And again, that's a wonderful poem by Matt Honer. He's an editor at Loch Raven Review, very fine online poetry magazine that you might want to check out and even submit to. My father, who emigrated to the United States in 1954, was always talking about the gun problem in the United States. He passed away April 15th, 1979. I'm sure he'd be scandalized at what happened here on July the 4th in Illinois. And for a number of years, having heard what Dad said and knowing what I know about the gun problem, I've been struggling, trying to write a poem, and I think it's finished. I'd like to share it with you now. Just finished, just within the last day. The question for America. The self-same question hurtles on. The question of children yet unborn, answered by bullet and by gun. Thank you, everyone. See you again.